Alright. Here's part two. There we go. That is Torvis Bog from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. If the first one is successful, which it already seems majorly successful to me, the information coming up, I'll probably play through that second game too, but no further because I really don't like video games. This is just one that stuck out specifically in my childhood, and I want to extrapolate all the information out of it. So I don't want to make it start some snowball effect where I have to play video games to get information. No, I'm not going to do that. I just gotta get that out there. It's the music reminded me of it. So I like that alien sounding music because I'm talking about aliens. El Elyon is the most high El. There's only one of those. Um, so alien, and then they put an S on it. Shh. So I'll call them extraterrestrials, but I'm sure extraterrestrial sounds very strange in Hebrew. If I Hebraize it like I've been doing. All right, so the depths of Mars. I can't make this up. Depths of Mars, a literal pyramid. Pyramid. It's pyre. Mamat. It's fire of death. It's the mouth of death. Paramat. Paramat is the face of death. You know what Japan means? It means the face of the is. It's actually Nippon, though, which is testimony of the mouth. Ne, he, on. Testimony of the mouth. On just means on in a lot of languages. On has just always been on. Sometimes I've heard the moon called on, or at least they worship the moon in a place called on. Um, so it might just be the people of the testimony of the face. And I mean, you look at their face, it's a testimony. They're like, they got a sharp look on their face. It's distinct, you know what I mean? So you can do this with all these things. Cause I got maps here. I'll show a preview. This is 1100 AD Eastern map. Let's see if I can get this good in here. It's got all kinds of people labeled everywhere. Uh, very interesting stuff. Some places are numbered. I think I can read all the names too. That's pretty cool. Oh, wireless technologies. I'm going to read next. I don't know how long I'll go with these. Be cool if I can do some later on after I eat. But I don't know. I like doing this stuff. Gets a lot of information out. Okay. If you hear like any dripping noises, remember it's raining outside, so um okay, there's agreement. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. There's an agreement between the US government and the extraterrestrials, he says, is there in quotes. This high up Israeli space official, NASA and everything. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. This comes out in 2020. It's like, oh, come on, really? This is right after I did the Metroid stream where it talked about the space pirates doing the experiments. This is not a coincidence. Okay. To do experiments. Ishad added that President Donald Trump was aware of the extraterrestrials' existence who want to do experiments on people. Says this man. Ooh. seems to have authority in the subject. He knows, Donald Trump knows about the extraterrestrials' existence and had been on the verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria. Uh, that means mass demonic possession, by the way. The Arc of Hysteria, if you look that up, you will probably regret looking it up. They have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. That's interesting because I didn't need extraterrestrials. Well, I didn't need what these people are calling extraterrestrials to understand this stuff. I didn't need NASA or any technology except the printing of a book. And this guy's referring to the Galactic Federation that he claims is out there. It's like, yeah, there's 24 thrones around the throne of Messiah, who's seated in the 5-dimensional vehicle. Created not because he needs a vehicle, but because his vehicle describes creation. His vehicle implants vision so that you continually perceive more and more until you understand creation. That's what Ezekiel saw. He saw the 5th dimension, 3rd dimensionally. It's insane. Okay. It's thousands of years old. And then, okay. The White House and Israeli officials did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment. Oh, this must be an NBC News article then. Sue Go, spokesperson for the Pentagon, declined to comment. Yeah, it's the heart of the Pentagon. I'm not going to say nothing. A spokesperson for NASA said one of the agency's key goals was the search for life in the universe, but that it had yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life because they're not physical things, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of breadcrumbs that lead nowhere. Oh, this is another quote by this man. Although we have yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life, NASA is exploring the solar system and beyond to help us answer fundamental questions, including whether we are alone in the universe. The spokesperson said in a statement, "Alone in the universe." That's code word for including whether we are God ourselves or not. And everything we see is just a projection from ourselves. Nobody is real except us, the person perceiving. That's what these people believe. They believe they're God. They believe that they created their entire universe. And then they're reaching their prime godhood by experiencing consciousness in their creation in their mind. You see how these people, so when they say fundamental question whether we are alone in the universe is Messiah, birthed by the will of the Most High Elohim. We are not alone in the universe. We are part of the universe who was birthed by the One. So what they mean, again, like I said, is alone in the universe. They perceive that they are God and that their perception creates reality, that their mind creates reality and projects their perception out of their own deity. That's what they believe. It's ridiculous. I was asked by one of these people once, "You don't believe you're a god?" I'm like, "No. I was birthed and a diaper was put on me, and if I soiled it and nobody changed it, it would start to rot my flesh and I would just perish." That's how I know I'm not a god, or her perception of one. You can be an Elohim in the sense of you're a heavenly being. You understand that you're 4th and 5th dimensional and you're grasping more and more at it. That's an Elohim. The Elohim of Elohims, which is El Elyon, is the one that created everything. That's why Messiah is an Elohim. He was the first Elohim created by El Elyon, and everything was funneled through that. Because God doesn't need any. The Most High Elohim doesn't need any of this stuff. He creates it. He creates perception for us to see it and grow, because he knows in his infinite wisdom that expansion and all this stuff I've been talking about works. So he used that in his creation, and it just patterns in all creation. And that's how I got it, by always looking at creation, reading scripture, and really wanting it. And now I'm seeing it clearer and clearer, because the longer you look at it in this theoretical thing, the longer you look at something of a higher dimension, the more it shows itself to you. Draw near to me and I'll draw near to you. I mean, this, the whole concept of all these dimensions are in scripture. They cannot be denied. That's why I haven't had yet any real opposition in comments or chats or anything, except somebody thinking that somehow any people, even Joctonites, can make up all this amazing stuff to hide a supposed even truer power that has to do with many gods instead of one. That makes no sense. Polytheism's already weak by being many. That's why it's poly when a cracker. Does the polytheist want to take communion and be a monotheist? That's literally what poly what a cracker means. It's a Semitic joke. It's a Christian Semitic joke to non-believers. They shouldn't make jokes like that, but you want to know what poly what a cracker means? That's what it means. It means that, guess what? Hitler was real paganism, and he lost. He didn't have the true power where he could fly around the world and turn the war back like Superman or something. He wasn't the Ubermensch. Do you understand? He thought he was. He thought paganism was real, and then he figured out it wasn't. He got like tremors and stuff, and supposedly he either took his life or fled to Argentina. So tell me that pagan, true paganism. That's the only thing, and I defeat it like it's a limp fish, like it's a broiled fish that's already falling apart when you pick it up. So I want to go somewhere, not to argue with people, but to discuss, because this is very interesting, and I get more information by discussing it with people. That's why I do it, because it's only sensible to do. But you gotta be careful, because that's what the whole Star Trek Vulcans are all about. Just doing things out of necessity or logic or this and that. But you got to be careful not to be in that 100%. You have to be in that as much as night is, and you have to be the Messiah part of it, the faith part of it, the true compassion part of it. That's the sun. It encompasses more than the moon does. You can see these in maps. If you take the maps of light and you conform them to the azimuthal equidistant map, which azimuthal in Hebrew literally means the exact measurement from God. Can't make this up. Azel. Mush. El. Can't make it up. I mean, I'm sure it's written down by man, so it's still flawed, but it's named that because they're trying to tell you this is the closest thing we got. That's why all the military and aerial stuff runs off of that map. And they're like, oh, it's patented as a globe projection. It's like, shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. You know nothing. You don't even know what you're standing on. You don't know what matter is. Ma, ta, ear. It's what is like the mark of the city. That's what matter is. And it's like who, what. So, in my opinion, the mark of the city is people always want to know what matter is. I want to know what created matter. That's higher. I don't care what matter is. Matter's under me. Do you understand? Heavens are above me or outside of me. Matter is inside of me. There's nothing good in matter. You understand? Except the fact that the Most High made it so that it has a reaction with our perception so that we understand that He is. That's the only good matter does. Matter is secondary. That's why we get mother out of that. But it's still mother is city of death, which is true in different ways of how you sow a seed. The seed is dead, and procreation and the two together it makes life. But mom in general would be the best until you can find something. Because that would be who is like many waters. If you say mom, it's like who is like many waters. That's a way nicer than City of Death. So that's why Pink Floyd, the first line of the song Mother is, Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb and kill everybody in the city? It's not a coincidence. That's what manifests. When he thinks of the song Mother, whether he knows it or not, that Hebrew words are manifesting in his uh, perceived, self-perceived, that it's his, fully his inspiration. Because that's what it's saying here. Are we alone in the universe? It's like, no, we're not. We're all part of a hava, a livelihood, and it's headed by Yahshua, who serves Yah. Uh-huh. Okay. Mass hysteria, Federation, Pentagon Atlantic Comet. Ishad's ideas are spelled out in more detail in The Universe Beyond the Horizon, Conversations with Professor Chaim Ishad by Hagar Yanai, published in November. I'm going to look into that probably. Hagar, remember, metaphorically, she was the house of slavery that needs a yoke. The trained servant doesn't need a yoke. So Sarah, which is a lively princess, is a princess who has children. Sarai is just a princess. Sarah is a princess with children. I'm not gonna have to explain that, but if you look into the Hebrew, that's what it is. So Hagar is Ha-gar. Behold, they're dragged off. Because remember, they were sent away because the two inheritances couldn't live with each other. They had to go. One had to go out right in the desert and have faith. Basically, both of them did that though, but one just it was way more raw. Let's see. Eshed, who oversaw the launch of numerous Israeli satellites into space, said he was only speaking out now because attitudes were changing and people seemed more receptive. Yeah, because more people are like numbed by drugs now. People are on so many prescription drugs, they're probably seeing these things in their dreams. You know what I mean? And here's another quote. If I had come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago. That's weird. That's a weird coincidence. This is his quote. If I had come up with this, what I'm saying 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized. Yeah, maybe. He told this newspaper, today they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I received my degrees and awards. I am respected in universities abroad. It's like, okay, this is a respected dude. In May, Trump said space is going to be the future, both in terms of defense and offense, because the pentagram turned upside down is the two horns of lust of the flaming star of the goat, attacking the heavens with its horns of lust. Defense. Reminds me of defecate. Because usually you don't go to the bathroom where you eat, so a defense, defecate, would be the outside of a perimeter where you defecate. And you'd put the fence more inner than that. You'd put that outside the defense. And offense, let's see. We're now the leader on space. Oh, I should have said like space is going to be the future, both in terms of defense and offense. We're now the leader in space. Messiah's the leader in space. Why is this guy saying he's the chosen one? Somebody has to do these deals with China. He looks up at the sky and says he's the chosen one, and then says he's the leader in space. And he was presented with the official flag of a newly created military branch, Space Force. And I showed you that it's the fifth dimensional sphere pierced in half. That's what they did. They pierced Messiah. That's why they pierced his side, because that's the middle of, that's the in between of the third dimension and fourth dimension in your body. It's the priesthood. It represents the priesthood. How's it going? Bellicose hyperbole. It's a hard name to forget. Let's see. Its focus, along with a space command, is on space as a military domain for the U.S. Remember, us is us again. Maybe it's a fountain of or eye of equipping with an arm weapon. I think that's what it means. Preserving satellites and communications and a focus on geopolitics and new terrain. I should redo the Trump coat of arms video and just show clips from it, just so it's proof that it happened, because I think I deleted it. Because you can tell it's a past video of me, where I say all this, the horns of the Goa'uld and all this space command stuff and what it represented. I think even before this article came out, or right when it did, I don't know. Eshed's comments immediately spawned jokes and theories online. At least half a dozen accounts have been created on Twitter claiming to be representatives to Earth from the Galactic Federation. Other users have asked for preferential treatment in meetings with the otherworldly group. See, this is where they make a joke and they train the AI to pretend to be these things. But there's a thin line, it seems, that's going to be created by doing that of what is in our world and what is in a different one. Nick Pope, these names, come on. Conquer over the Pope? Yeah, because they're not going to need any of these other things when the AI comes. The AI is just going to get rid of all of its servants. So Nick is the conqueror over Pope. Pope literally means pe is there is the mouth, or the mouth is just there. So they're trying to say they're God. They just are. The mouth just is. That's what they're claiming to be, the Pope. So this Nick Pope guy used to investigate UFOs for the British Ministry of Defense. Interesting how these places have branches that do that. And then you're just left guessing whether they find anything or not. This guy describes Eshed's remarks as extraordinary. Either this is some sort of practical joke or a publicity stunt to help sell his book, perhaps with something having been lost in translation or someone in the know is breaking ranks, he said. They always make it look like, oh, we can't control it or this and that, because they want you to think they're little green things running around. They want you to think Yoda's coming out of the sky or something. Pope said, not the Pope, but this guy last name Pope said, The UFO and conspiracy theory community was excited, but that questions remain, including whether or not Ishad was speaking from direct personal knowledge and experience, or whether he is repeating something has been told. Which the only reason I'm going to entertain that is because I've spoken to somebody who worked for Space Force, and they sound like they're repeating something they're told sometimes. Sometimes it sounds like it's their own experience. But I know this guy. I just explained what this guy's talking about. He says there's still some missing pieces of the puzzle here. It's like you can tell when somebody's feeding you crap. It's when they say something like that. There's still some missing pieces of the puzzle here. Somebody call Yoda the wise man. He'll tell us what to do. Alright. I'm just gonna read interesting stuff. I actually have that Kingdom Tower in here. The Jeddah Tower. Which literally means his door to Yah. That's what Jeddah Tower means. It's also he is beloved, Jedod. But anyway, wireless communication is the transfer of information or power between two or more points that are not connected by an electrical conductor. Some of these things, it seems like there's little parables and metaphors throughout here. It does mean what it means, but the Most High likes to hide, not hide because it's not really hiding, but place certain metaphors within how something works. The most common wireless technologies use radio waves, which they claim come out of stars, all the different waves of light. But they're static. They're not actually saying anything. It's like, okay, in what language? With radio waves, distances can be short, such as few meters for Bluetooth, or such as far as millions of kilometers for deep space radio. You see how they think they could be fooled by machines that it's millions and billions and trillions of miles away, because when you're going towards the heavens, it's not it's coming out of your dimension. You're not going up, you're going out. So the more you go out, the more everything starts distorting. So even the more you look out, the more things start distorting. The more you look in, the more things distort a lot faster. That's why you can't look within. It's demonic. It's a demonic lie, and I'm not going to tolerate it. Okay, because I didn't get any of this from inside of me. I didn't get any of it. I got it from outside experience. It encompasses various types of fixed, mobile, and portable applications, including two-way radio, cellular phones, personal digital assistants, PDAs, wireless networking. Other examples: cross GPS, cross door openers, wireless computer mouse, keyboard, all this stuff. Term wireless has been used twice in communications history with slightly different meaning. Initially used about 1890 for the first radio transmitting and receiving technology, as in wireless telegraphy, until the new word radio replaced it around 1920. Wow. Dio is supposed to be like a god. Ra is the eclipsed sun, darkness from the eclipsed sun. It is beating in pieces. It is evil. It is pasturing things, compartmentalization, but also associate in the terms of a business. That's why Ramses embodies a lot of that. But it's interesting, around 1920, so this is during World War One, it started being called Ra Dio. Gee, I wonder why. Wow. The term was revived in the 1980s and 90s, mainly to distinguish digital devices that communicate without wires, such as examples listed in the previous paragraph. That is wild. Wireless operations permit services such as mobile and interplanetary, inter, interplanetary, interplane Terry communications. It has nothing to do with globes. Uh, it does have something to do with spheres, though. Um, just use some form of energy, radio waves, acoustic energy transfer without the use of wires. Photophone. The photophone was the first telephone conversation occurred in 1880 when Alexander Graham Bell allegedly and Charles Sumner Tainter invented the photophone, a telephone that sent audio over a beam of light. That's the first dimension. The photophone required sunlight to operate and a clear line of sight between the transmitter and the receivers. This is first and second dimension. These factors greatly decreased the viability of the photophone in any practical use. It would be several decades before the photophone's principles found their first practical applications in military communications and later in fiber optic communications. Stephen Ben Noon at Israeli News Live said Rabbi told him Planet X drifts in and out of dimension. That's why it's not always visible. That's interesting. Yeah, they could be seeing things, but and then it's distorted, and then it disappears and comes back. There's so many signs in the sky that it's not what they tell us it is. I think that's even the purpose for those things being in the sky. But that's very interesting. Um, Early wireless. A number of wireless electrical signaling schemes include sending electric currents through water and the ground using electrostatic and electromagnetic induction, and were investigated for telegraphy in the late 19th century before practical radio systems became available. These included a patented induction system by Thomas Edison, allowing a telegraph on a running train to connect to the telegraph wires running parallel to the tracks. Interesting. A William Peace induction telegraph system for sending messages across bodies of water, and several operational and proposed telegraphy and voice earth conduction systems. Now I got a cough. Let's see. The Edison system was used by stranded trains during the Great Blizzard of 1888. The Earth conductive systems found limited use between trenches during World War One, but these systems were never successful economically. They have utility though, and they were learning. Oh, sorry. Sometimes my voice will get a little low because I'm looking at this, and sometimes it hits the red, and then I'll start talking lower. But I gotta make sure it's hitting the yellow so that people can hear me. Where is it here? So a lot of the learning on this you'll see is through war. In 1894, Guglielmo Marconi, whatever his first name is, began developing a wireless telegraph system using radio waves, which had been known about since proof of their existence in 1888 by Heinrich Hertz, German, but discontinued as a communication format since they seemed at the time to be a short range phenomenon. No, they were just having meetings and stuff to talk about how are we going to patent this, how are we going to control it. And they're saying, oh, it's just don't even use it because it can only go short. Don't worry. It's like they know about this because Egypt had a battery. There's an Egyptian battery. You can look it up. So there's a Can't make this up. Like it's a little literal Egyptian battery, and they used it possibly even for like a telegraph thing. And so that's how they fooled people into thinking that these people were gods because they could just telegraph to each other. But a lot of times it probably only worked in towns and stuff. You probably couldn't actually stretch it to different countries. But see, now that they got that technology to stretch it to different countries, they're using it. Well, Tartaria was actually Muslim, and it didn't have all that stuff. That's part of the Thousand Year Reign already happened stuff. People try to separate them, but it's essentially one thing. And most of that is headed by the Iranian stuff. But there are people who like to take true things and distort it. But there's a time when things manifest. Just like I said, there is a Egyptian battery, but it was probably something that just tricked people either from room to room or from house to house. And it was very, very concentrated. And it was very hard to produce those things. You had to be alchemists and all that. Recharging at the steeples. No, matter will never recharge your spirit at all. Nobody will ever invent anything to recharge your spirit. Um, Only things higher or outer of the third dimension can actually revive your spirit. It tells you that when Ezekiel and when Daniel uh, falls uh, falls on their knees because of the power of it, the spirit entered them and brought them back up on their feet. Um, so to think that physical life or your spiritual life can be charged by some kind of workings of matter, you can just see that that thinking comes out of something that's not biblical. Um, but it's manifesting now. They're like, oh, it always manifests. It's like, no, there's a time for everything, and God plans things. They want you to think it happened before because they want you to think that the world can survive this. That's the big thing. I just figured that out right now. That's the big lie about Tartaria, I'm going to tell you. And the whole Thousand Year Reign already happened. Because they want you to think that all this technology already happened and that the world survived it. And it's like, no, the world is not going to survive this technology. That's why this technology manifests at the end when things are going to be destroyed anyway. So God knows it's going to be destroyed anyway. So he's like, yes, all this technology could be manifest at the end. It doesn't continually manifest, but they were small forms of it in a battery that might have just been able to travel between two houses, two buildings, or two cities. But that's about it. And the cities had to be really close to each other. Um, but yeah, they for a short period of time they did tether um, airships to buildings and stuff because they were trying it out. They needed to test it out, so they made it popular for a certain amount of time. But because of wind and other dangers and the gases used of it, it wasn't efficient enough. And then they get people to like glorify it like it was some lost technology. It's like no, it was had very flammable gas, other things. The wind can literally just change. The wind is so unpredictable. They don't want a balloon. They need a silver bullet, a silver bird. So yeah, airship can be made. It's just I don't want a whole world full of airships. That would be very dangerous. Um, I think I've heard that Stu Peters guy. Let's see. Charles. What was I reading here? So there's a bunch of other Germans basically making stuff like they always do. Millimeter wave communication was first investigated by Jagadish. Sounds like Yachten-ish. Chandra Bose, that has Sindhu Hindu blood there, Chandra. During 1894 to 1896, when he reached an extremely high frequency of up to 60 gigahertz in this experiment, he also introduced the use of semiconductor junctions to detect radio waves when he patented the radio crystal detector in 1901. See, this is where it gets very interesting, you know. Um, let's see. That's interesting. Millimeter. Remember, millimeter waves are what is now 5G. And it's also your microwave at the same time. It's very strange. But they're different sides of something. So it doesn't quite do exactly what the microwave does. But it's not good for you if you have too much of it near you all the time. Wireless revolution was in the 1990s. Advent of wireless networks leading up to a social revolution. It's planned. They waited. They probably could have done it in the 70s or 80s, but they were waiting. They gave everybody drugs first. Isn't that weird? Gave everybody drugs first, then they released this thing that they knew would cause a social revolution. Social revolutions aren't bad. They're just controlling it to make a wicked manifestation. So leading to a social revolution and a paradigm shift from wired to wireless technology, including that's like letting a dog off a leash. So they had to wait for a certain time before they did it. They couldn't do it too fast or it would be too chaotic. Wireless technology, including the proliferation of commercial wireless technology such as cell phones, mobile telephony, pagers, wireless computer networks, cellular networks, wireless internet, laptop, handheld computers, wireless communication, wireless connections. The wireless revolution had been driven by advances in radio frequency and microwave engineering, and the transition from analog to digital RF technology which enabled a substantial increase in voice traffic along with the delivery of digital data such as text messaging, images, and streaming media. I'm cooking some food right now. That's what I'm doing. The core component of this revolution is the MOSFET, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor, or MOS transistor. Mosh to draw out or to drive on, and fet, ta, the mouth's mark. So the authority of the mouth then. So to move on, the authority of the mouth. And its core component of the revolution, social revolution caused by this technology. That's very interesting. Now I'm being more conscious of how low my voice gets. That's funny. Power MOSFETs such as LDMOS, lateral diffusion MOS. So LD, Lamed, and Daleth. That'd be the scholar and the door. So the scholar and the door, lateral scholar, standing upright. Diffused door. Door is a place that diffuses into the outside. You can't make this up. Okay. Are used in RF power amplifiers. RF would be Roche and Pe. RF would be Roche and Pe, if you remember the accumulation. The Roche. It's literally what happens before seed is sown in a certain thing that humans do. That's what that's what rush is. You get a rush when you procreate. It's just nature. Deal with it. People want to say that, oh, it's so beautiful when a baby's born. It's like, yeah. But when you're looking at it, it's like, wow. But then you want to describe in detail something else, and then it's like, oh, that's not beautiful. It's like, okay, you just like picking things. Let's see. RF. That's so good. So Roche, the accumulation, the head, the top, mouth. RF is the top mouth. Can't make this up. Power amplifiers to boost RF signals to a level that enables long distance wireless network access for consumers, while RF CMOS, that's calf, the outstretched hand, so radio frequency CMOS uses circuits. Circuit is like a weak outstretched hand because they're wires, right? Little thin wires. They're like bones with flesh around them. It's the little wire, and then with the rubber thing around it. It's just like a arm. Let's see. Circuits are used in radio transceivers to transmit and receive wireless signals at low cost and with low power consumption. The MOSFET is the best basic building block of modern wireless networks, such as mobile networks as 2G, 3G, and 4G. Supposed to be 4 or 5G. Most of the essential elements in modern wireless networks are built from MOSFET, including the base station modules, routers, RF circuits, radio transceivers, transmitters, and RF power amplifiers. In the show Invader Zim, the little funny robot who's kind of dumb, I guess, plugs his head into the power amplifier, and he's like "Ooh, blah, blah, blah," and enjoying it. And Zim comes up, and he's the alien guy. He takes it off. He says, "Grr, stay away from the power amplifier. It's sending out deadly waves of stupidness." It's very interesting to put in a children's cartoon, isn't it? Telling Gurr, the ignorant one who doesn't know what he's doing, stay away from the power amplifier. It's sending out deadly waves of stupidness. But he likes it. He likes being dumber and dumber, so he likes plugging into his head. It's like, I've known some Gurrs. It's GIR or GUR. He's like, Gurr, what's the G stand for? He's like, I don't know. Um, Primary MOSFET scaling is also a primary factor behind rapidly increasing wireless network bandwidth, which has been doubling every 18 months, as noted by Ed Holmes' law. Doubling every 18 months. That's every 6 plus 6 plus 6 months. Oh boy. I think I might finish this wireless thing. Wait to eat. I might do one later at like 7 or something, or 8, 9. I don't know, man. This is interesting. Because I want to go through this anyway. Might as well do it on the stream. MOSFET was invented by Mohammed Atala. That's interesting. Mohammed Atala would basically be translated as the highest great one. So even this guy's name is mirroring Messiah, and he's creating all this. It's Antichrist because they're not using it. It's naturally Messiah because it's modeled after him, but they're only building it as a replacement because that's what anti means, is replace, not opposite. So anti-Messiah is the replacement Messiah. So the anti-Messiah might be a robot, but I really do. They call him a son of destruction, so it could be a robot. Antichrist could be a robot, but I think it uses the word man for him a lot. And that's a specific word for human man, so pretty sure it's a man. If not, Trump's a robot. That's why he had the marks that he did. It was like a Terminator when he got. He's the Trumpinator. They already made that too, the Trumpinator. They'll probably revive it after what happened. Let's see, and Devon or Dewan Hong. So it's somebody from the Khan line, and Devon. That's probably it's like Dav, infirmity, infirmity on, infirmity, and just infirm basically people of infirmity. From the Khan, you know, the Mongol Khans. Literally, the name negative things came out of the first and last name. Mongols, Khans, Kubla Khan. There's a deep within the pleasure dome to greet my Kubla Khan. That's a pretty good. Rush, the band Rush. Roche. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Power amplifier stuff. Okay. At Bell Labs. So Bell means beloved, but it was a Sumerian deity and a Sumerian idol. So it's probably a Sumerian idol of love. So it's probably Lust. So Lust Labs is what it should be called. In 1959. Eat that, Mike. Man, this is too interesting. I wish I was more entertaining, but it doesn't really add anything in my opinion. Its very large-scale integration (VLSI) capability led to wide adoption for digital integrated circuit chips in the early 1970s. Older bipolar junction transmitter (BJT) remained dominant up until the 80s. Here we go. Let me go something better here. It's interesting that I'm gonna guess these people are Saudis. House of Saud. Hunters. By the early 1990s, this MOSFET had replaced. It almost sounds like Baphomet without the beep. MOSFET. MOSFET. Leading to a revolution in wireless technology. Mobile phones, modes. Let's see. Sonic. Electromagnetic induction. I should make sure I don't miss anything interesting. Some of it gives its data communications. Here it goes. Wireless internet redirects here. Tells you what Wi-Fi is. Lower power wide area networks, or LPWAN. It's interesting if you hypnotize these things. Energy transfer. Wireless energy transfer is a process whereby electrical energy is transmitted from a power source to an electrical load that does not have a built-in power source. What happens if you put it into something with a built-in power source? I wonder what happens. Without the use of interconnecting wires. There are two different fundamental methods for wireless energy transfer. Energy can be transferred using either far-field methods that involve beaming power or lasers. Sharks with freaking laser beams. Radio or microwave transmissions, or near field using electromagnetic induction. Wireless energy transfer may be combined with wireless information transmission in what is known as wireless powered communication. Started a few minutes early. I should just start again in 6. And stop at 5:50. Try to get it. Let's see. I'll take a break. I'll see what happens. I might do a part 3 though. This is medical technologies. New wireless technologies such as mobile body area networks, or M-band. That's Ma'am Beth Ayan testimony. N. So the waters of the house of the eye, or fountain, give testimony about poverty and humiliation. Wow. Mban. have the capability to monitor blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen level, and body temperature. The M band works by sending low powered wireless signals to receivers that feed into nursing stations or monitoring sites. This technology helps with the international and unintentional risk of infection or disconnection that arise from wired connections. So MAGA, I wonder what MAGA is. So Ma is what, and Ga, Gimel, is international trade. So the waters of the eye or fountain of international trade. That's crazy. But MAGA is also going to make contact, and is in one of the high levels of the Church of Set, which is a satanic church. Because according to Aleister Crowley, that's what Satan wants to be called, is Set. He claims his name is Set on. See, this emoji thing keeps blocking the comment. It's really annoying. I've seen you with other content creators. A long time ago, I talked with people, but I don't really like talking to them because I figured out that one of them is a literal Joktanite. Because there was a son of Joktan named Jera, and he followed the moon cycles, so he was probably a lunatic astronomer, and he probably created self-made religion because it manifested in somebody to be a lunatic and follow the moon, shoot the moon, keep filming the moon, obsess about the moon. What is the moon? You turn into a lunatic. So Jera was probably someone who had some man-made religion, uh, which the moon technically is because the Torah was given by God, but it was only for the lawless and the people who were committing crimes. People who live by the Spirit don't need laws because they just do good. They live by the laws. The only ones who need the laws are the ones who don't understand how to live that way. So a religion out of one of these sons of Joktan named Jera, if he started a religion, it would be called Jeraism. And I used to, yeah, Jaren. It's like his name can be uh what is it? Yeah, Yod. It's even in there. A small evil testimony. Jaren can small evil testimony or evil testimony of Joktan. Because if you know, I'll say this because I'm not afraid to say things like this. I just don't like causing any static. It's annoying for me. But Jaren actually made his own religion. He made a stream where he laid out what the perfect religion in his mind would be. Because he doesn't think that the God of the Bible is worshipful, because the God of the Bible explains what he's doing before he does it. Jaren's God doesn't tell anybody anything and just does things randomly. That's not worshipful. My God is worshipful because he tells you what he's going to do before he does it. He's a good father. Jaren's conception of God is a bad father. He probably had a bad father. You understand? I can psychoanalyze these people easily just based on how they view God. The easiest way to psychoanalyze somebody is how they view God. Yeah, I don't like gossiping either, but some things are important. If someone has a very destructive ideology, I actually can mention them. Or if they make a direct challenge to Christianity and say, I don't think that's worshipful. But it's interesting. I had a 5-hour conversation actually with him about scripture. And he claimed the part where I proved him wrong, he claimed he couldn't save it and repost it because it went beyond 4 hours and he didn't have the full version of StreamYard, but he had already done a few streams before that went almost 5 hours that nothing was cut off of it when he reposted it. So he was just lying because I proved him wrong. Which is somebody who makes a religion about themselves would totally do something right like that. I don't blame him. His ideology forces him to do that. So I'm going to end with that, I guess. And I might do another part today, but if I don't, I'm just going to do these ones randomly. I'm going to do these ones randomly. I'm going to do the Metroid ones randomly. I might do the Bible ones every Saturday because that would just be a lot less exhausting. But I'm going to keep expanding until something happens. So that's why I'm doing all these. I might just stream every day. I don't know. I have something to say every day. And at the moment, I'm just waiting to actually do a job somewhere. So I'm just waiting. So in the meantime, I can stream every day and say this until that job's ready, and then I can go work for a few months, come back and spill out a bunch of other crazy stuff. I mean, it's not crazy, but I mean, it's provable. I mean, I won't comment on yeah. Yeah, he's kind of hard to watch because it's like he speaks like someone who makes their own religion. I didn't make my own religion. I got this from scripture, written down by men who worked very, very hard and lived in caves and did things to their diet to 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 make the veil thin, fasted to make the veil thin. All these things, and I greatly respect those men, and I read their words, and I believe they came from Elohim. There's nothing but worshipfulness of something like that. I love it. Um, a God who doesn't tell you what he's gonna do, doesn't care if you know who he is, because apparently he's Gnostic in this view. It's like that's not worshipful. There's literally anyway, I'm not gonna dwell too much on this. I'll only spend a short time on it. Pun intended. Baruch Hashem Yahavah Shaddai, Baruch Hashem Ben Elohim, Shua HaMashiach, and Baruch, blessings to all of you who listen. And I'll see you whenever I see you. Let me start this music. Oops. I didn't even have the speaker on. Here it goes. Let's try it again.